Hi, I'm Miss Becky from the Montgomery County Norristown Public Library, and today I'm going to show you how to sew your own tissue pack. And it looks like this. You see tissue pack is inside, and on the other side, if you want, you can make a cute little design. And these are nice to keep in your purse or a backpack or a suitcase, or keep it in the car, or wherever you might need to keep some tissues handy. So what you're going to need to do this, first of all, is a needle. And this is an embroidery needle. It has a big eye because it's a big thread that needs to go in there. You will need some embroidery thread. This is also the kind of thread that you use to make friendship bracelets. And it has 6 strands in the string. So it's thick thread, and pick a color that you like. You're going to need a piece of felt or some other fabric that doesn't fray or unravel on the edges easily. Maybe a piece of denim from a pair of old pants or something like that. You could maybe even use a piece of an old t-shirt. But felt is good because you don't have to finish the edges. They'll stay straight and even when you're done. You'll need a piece of scrap paper. I have a piece of old junk mail. You could use some old homework or a letter that your parents don't need anymore or something like that. And a pencil and a ruler. And if you have some pins, they're helpful. But you could probably get by without them. So how we're going to start is we're going to start by making a pattern for the piece of fabric that we're going to cut out to make the tissue holder. So we're going to start by making a template or a pattern. I like to make the template first, put the measurements on the paper so that if I make a mistake, I haven't ruined the fabric. I just ruined a piece of paper. So I'll show you how to do that. So the first thing we're going to do is make our template. And we'll start out with a piece of paper. And we're going to make a 6" by 7" rectangle. So we start out, I'll measure down 7 inches from the edge. We'll start, put the 7 on one edge. And make a mark at the edge. And then bring it in again, do 7 again. We'll make 3 marks at 7 inches. Okay, so now we're going to put those 3 marks together, line them up, and draw a line. Whoops, I got a little notch on my ruler. Let's try that again. Best ruler in the world. So now we're going to measure this way 6 inches. So we're going to make 3 more lines there, there, and there. And again, I'm going to use this edge because it's straighter. And we're going to line up the three dots that we just made and connect them like that. Okay, so this part here is going to be our template. So we need a pair of scissors too, I forgot to say that. So we can cut this out. Okay, so I have my scissors, and I'm just going to cut along the edge here. Stay on the line as best as you can. And this way. And there we go. Here's my template. I like to make templates or patterns because, number one, if you make any mistakes, you make it on the paper, not on the fabric. I think I said that before. And the other thing is, if you want to make more than one, you don't have to keep remeasuring. You've already got it measured out. Okay, so we have our fabric here, and you can either trace around your pattern with a pencil or a pen. Probably a permanent marker would be the best to do this with, because the pencil isn't the greatest at showing up. I guess you can see it. Okay. Got a little edge here that's uneven, so I'm just going to even that up. Okay. So, yeah, I guess we can see that. So now I'm going to cut this out. The other thing you can do, which I didn't show you, if you have pins, you can put your template on there and pin it down like this. And just cut around. If you don't want pen marks, just pin around the edges and then just cut out. So then you won't have any marks on your fabric. But I think we'll be okay. Just make sure you cut right on the line so that we can't see the marks on the fabric when you go to sew. I'm just going to cut this little edge here. Sometimes you get a little edge, a little mistake. Just going to even that off a little bit. Come on. Okay. So now we have our 6 by 7 inch piece. So what we're going to do next is we're going to fold it. We're going to put the two, this is the 6-inch edge, it's almost a square but not quite, and this is the 7-inch edge, and this is the 6-inch edge. So we're going to put the two 6-inch edges together, like we're folding it in half. And we're going to press it down with our fingers a little bit so that we make a little bit of a fold there. And what I'm going to do right on the fold is I'm going to make a little pencil mark at each edge, just so that I can know where the center is when I'm ready to sew it together. Because what you're going to do when you're ready is you're going to fold each edge over to that mark, and then you're going to sew these edges here. So, but first, what we're going to do, we're going to make a little design in the middle here. And you don't want your design to be more than like 2.5 inches wide. And I'm going to see how much this is here. Well, that's just about 2.5 inches right there. So I'm going to cut this off. You can see that'll fit nicely right in the middle right there like that. I'm going to try out my design, figure out what I'm going to do first. Okay, so I've cut myself a little 2.5 by 2.5 inch square just to make sure I have a good size for my design. And I decided to make like a diamond pattern. If you're new at hand sewing, try to choose something that's pretty easy, has straight lines like this. So this gives me an idea of the size, so I can have a visual of how my design is going to fit. And you want to put it right in the middle. That's the fold line where we folded it earlier. So I've already drawn part of it. I'm going to put the center one in there. So I have 2 diamonds. And just be mindful that if you got a packet from the library, don't get too crazy with your thread, because you may not be able to have enough thread for it. We need our thread, and I am going to, this is how I measure how much thread I need, and this is all in a knot right now. I take the end and put it up to my nose, and then I reach out to my hand, I'll reach my arm all the way out, and then I cut it right there. That way you don't get more thread than you can handle, because you can only pull as far as your arm is long. And the other thing is that, I don't know what the other thing is. Anyway, so now we're going to try to thread this thick thread through this eye. So you want to make sure that your thread has a clean cut, that there's no extra fibers sticking up. And then you try to match it up to the eye and get it through the little hole. The eye is the hole, or the hole is the eye. Sometimes I have a little trouble, so I wet it a little bit. Kind of flatten it down with your fingernails so it'll fit through the hole. And sometimes it wants to split into strands. Come on. Try this again. Get in there. Okay. That might take a little bit of practice to get it through. The other thing you could do is make a needle threader out of a piece of paper. You have to cut a thin strip that will fit through the eye of the needle. And these are pretty long, so that should work fine. Oops, dropped it. Anyway, so you're going to fold this strip of paper in half. So you want it to be a fair length because you need half of it. So folded it in half, and then you're going to stick the folded edge in through the needle eye, like that. And you're going to kind of hook it apart so there's a loop. You hold this so you can see that. See that little loop that I made? And the paper is inside the eye of the needle. So then you take the end of your thread and you push it through that little loop. Make sure all your strands are stuck together. Pull it through. Oh, I didn't get all the strands. We'll wet that a little bit so they all stay together. There's nothing like a little bit of spit on your sewing project. Okay, let's get our loop back. There's our loop. We're going to put that through there. Whoop, like that. Pull it through a little bit. Now you're going to put that paper, pull that paper back through and pull the thread all the way out. Okay, so that's the easier way to do it. So now we're going to pull our ends almost even, but not quite, because we want one end a little bit longer, and the longer end is going to be the end that we knot. So we have to put a knot in the end so it doesn't pull out through the fabric. So I'm going to wrap the thread around my finger, around my index finger. I'm going to pinch it like this, wrap it around. So you're kind of, you've kind of made an X on your finger. You're going to pinch that X, and then you're going to roll the two threads together as you roll it off the end of your finger, and then hang on to it, kind of pinch it between your fingernails and pull. And you've got a knot. Let me show it to you again. You're going to wrap it around, going to pinch it, overlap the two edges in an X, two strings in an X. And then you're going to roll it off your finger. I know how to show that. Roll it off. And then you're going to pinch it and pull it. And there is your knot. So I'm all threaded. I have my knot in the end, and I'm just going to start. So you're going to come up from the bottom. You always start at the back on the bottom. Come up from the bottom. I'm going to go right into the point of the diamond right there and pull it all the way up until the knot hits. And now you're going to go down, and then you're going to come right back up. So you're kind of going to bend the fabric more so than move the needle. And then you pull it up tight. Not too tight, you don't want it to bunch. So then you're going to go down again, and then come right back up. And you want to make sure your stitches are the same width apart and they're the same length, so that everything looks nice and neat. And just keep going along your line. Try to cover your line with your thread so that you won't be able to see it later. It is very light anyway. It's kind of hard for me to see. If you have a dark color of felt, you might want to use some chalk, if you have it, to measure it out. And so I keep going down and up. Down, space, and up. Oh, I'm starting to bunch a little bit. You can go through every now and then and just press it out and make sure it's not bunchy. Down and up. Okay, now we're at one edge of the diamond. So now I'm going to turn it a little and go the other way. And once you're comfortable with the down and up, you can do a couple down and ups at a time. So I can do down, up, then go in again and up, and in again and up without pulling the thread through. And I can do that maybe 4 times. You see how I've done that? So that all I have to do then is pull that. Make sure your fabric isn't bunched up. Pull your thread tight. And see, I've made almost the entire side by doing that. It makes it go faster. So I'm going to do down and up, down and up. I'm almost to the top of my diamond, so I'm going to just do those 2. Pull it. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this way. I'm going to go down and up. Just keep the fabric on your needle, down and up. Just watch where your line is, down and up, down and up. And I'm going to push it through, pull it through. Oops, bunched a little bit, so I'm just going to pull it and flatten it. And you just keep going like that. Down and up. Down and up. Down and up. Okay, now I'm going to switch down the last edge. Down and up. Down and up. Down, up. See if I can go all the way down and up. Okay. Yes, I did the whole row. Okay, now I'm back to the beginning. I'm going to go down where I started. Now I have, going through my knot. That's not good. Back there. Now see, it bunched it up a little bit. So I'm just going to just keep flattening it down like that. And keep going. Now I have the inner diamond that I made. And I want to sew that now. So we're going to skip over. You kind of have to feel where your needle is to try and find where to bring it up at your line. Now you're going to pull it not too tight, because you don't, if you pull it too tight, you're going to bunch it up. You don't want to bunch it up. You just want to make sure, see, that's what the back looks like. I took that one big stitch to get to the middle diamond, and you don't want to pull that tight. So I'm going to do that same, down and up, down and up, down and up. See if I can get this whole edge here of this center diamond. And up. Okay. Pull it. Make sure it's not too tight. And then I'm going to go down to that last stitch. Actually, no, that's off my mark. I'm going to go down, start down the next side, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, pull it through. Okay, two sides done. There we go. Down, up. If you want, you can count the number of stitches. I did 4 on the opposite side, so it's 1, 2, 3, 3. Can't count. 4. It will be 4 when it goes down. Maybe not. I can make a little one to make 4. Okay, we're gonna go down, up, down, up. Okay, so you see, I have my diamond. I have one more stitch, and so I'm just gonna go take that last stitch going down, but I'm not going to come back up because I'm finished. So we always finish with our thread on the opposite side. So now what I'm going to do, show you how to tie this off, I'm going to go back in underneath one of the closest stitch, and just go right underneath the loop there. I'm going to pull my thread almost all the way through, but not quite. I'm going to leave a loop, and then I'm going to put my thread through that loop and pull it. And don't pull it too tight, just make sure there's a little knot there. Excuse me. So then I'm going to go down under that thread. I'm going to pull my thread through again, make another loop, pull my needle through that loop, pull it tight. So there's a double knot there, and I'm just going to go up to the next stitch, past that knot, and just run my needle underneath it. I don't want to go through the fabric, I just want to go through the stitch. And then you can just snip it off close. Okay, so that's what the back side looks like, and that's what's going to be inside. And then on the outside, you'll have your little design. And if you have like a little button, you could sew that on right there in the middle, make it a little fancier, or whatever you like to do. Okay, so now we're going to take our fabric and put it with the design face down. And then we're going to fold it. Remember those marks that we made at the middle? There and there. We're going to fold our edges in till they're even with that mark on both ends. So that it's going to match here and it's going to match here. You can press it down to try to make it fold. I like to put, if you have a pin, you can sort of pin it so that it doesn't move. Put a couple in there maybe. And then we're going to fold this side over to match it. And then pin this side down too. So it kind of looks like a hot dog roll or something. Now my edges are a little uneven. You can see. This side's not too bad. But this side got a little uneven here. So I'm just going to trim that off. Just so that's not sticking up and looking. So that everything is even straight across there. Okay, so now, if you want, you can measure in like 1/4 of an inch here. So that's like the first long mark is 1/4 of an inch. And that'll just give you a guide for how far away from the edge you want to sew. Just to give you a little visual so you don't get off track. So the first line is your 1/4 inch. You want to put those dashes together and make a sewing line. You can do that. It didn't show up really well. Sometimes you have to push a little bit to get your pencil to show up. Okay, so I got a couple of very faint lines on the edge. So I'm going to get another piece of thread because what I used before is just about gone. So I'm going to rethread my needle with my little needle threader that I made with the paper. Kind of push it down till it's to the loop opens up. So you have a little hole. Can't see that very well. Hole. And then you're going to take your thread, push it through that hole, that loop in the paper, bring it out the other side, and then you're going to pull paper through the thread, and then your thread down. Okay, now we're going to wrap it around your finger, like that, and roll it off. Roll the thread, the strands together, pull it, and you've got your knot. Okay, so we're going to start. We're going to tuck our knot inside, but we're going to sew on the outside. So we've got our design here, and we're going to just bring your needle out from the inside because we want to hide that knot. We don't want that ugly knot sitting out where everybody can see it. So just kind of, it's inside now. And we're just going to kind of sew over that part. So find your sewing line if you made one. If you're just eyeballing it, if you're just that good, well then go for it. So I'm going to do the first one. Now you're going to go down through 2 layers of fabric, and it's kind of thick, so your stitches are going to be bigger doing it this way. So you want to make sure you've gone all the way through the bottom before you come back up. And same thing, you're just going to pull it tight, but not too tight that it bunches. Okay, so you're going to try to keep your stitches the same length and the same amount of space apart. And because you're doing 2 very thick layers, it's probably better just to do 1 stitch at a time rather than, you know, the several that I showed you before. So we're going to keep going down through here. See how that looks. And try to stay on your line. And keep going down and up. Now I'm going to come up kind of in between the two edges. So I'm going to want to make sure I catch both edges. So I'm going to kind of go back and across the gap between the two so that I can kind of sew it together. So I'm going to go back again and just make sure both of those edges are caught in one stitch. So it's just going to make it a little bit stronger there, where it's going to get a lot of pull when you're putting the tissues in. So I'm going to go back out where I came back out before. So just bring your needle up through where your thread came out before. And so there you see you have a stitch that connects both sides together. Okay, I'm just going to do that again just to keep it nice and strong right there. Okay, now I'm going to go down a little bit and then come back up just to get us back in our pattern here. Down and up. Oops. Sometimes it gets a little tangled and it makes a knot, so you just have to stop and untangle. Down and up. And you're going through both sides. Check, make sure that both sides are being sewn. Down to up. And now they're at the edge, so I'm just going to go around the edge and come back. And actually, I'm going to try to open that little fold a little bit. And I'm going to come up inside the fold, because we're going to knot it inside. So open that up like that. We're going to take a little stitch on the inside, just a little tiny one, so that you do it on the bottom if you can, on the bottom side. Do a little stitch like that. I'm going to pull it almost all the way. We're going to leave a little loop, and then pull your thread through the loop, and then pull it tight, and you've got a knot there. And do it one more time. Go up underneath, like just catch the thread. You don't have to make another stitch in the fabric. Catch the thread, go underneath the thread, pull your thread tight, almost tight, to the loop, and then you're going to come up through the loop, pull it tight, and then just do another, I just do another little stitch through the thread, and then just pull it up, and then clip it off close to the knot. Okay, so you've got your little knot inside there. Okay, so one side is done. And we're going to go and do the other side. I'm going to take these pins out because I don't need them anymore. So we're going to do the same thing on this side. You need to make a new knot. So you're going to make your X, and you're going to roll the two pieces together, pull on it, and then you've got your knot. And we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to start, find your mark there. We're going to come up from the inside so our knot is tucked in where nobody can see it. We don't want anyone to see that nasty old knot. Kind of poke the tail down in there. And I'm just going to come up around. And we're going to keep sewing on the line that we made. Down and up. Please make sure you're going through both pieces. We have a stitch on the bottom and the top. Down and up. Down and up, and we're going to come up between the two pieces there, do like we did on the other side. And I'm just going to go back, grab this side, come up over there on this side. So we have both sides caught in the stitch. I'm going to come back around and do that. Come back to the beginning of that stitch and come up at the end of that stitch where the thread comes out at the same place. Okay. And just make sure that they're sewn together. I'm going to do it again. Go down in, come back up. That just double secures that stitch. Okay, so now I'm going to go down. Oh, this pin is getting in my way, so I'm going to move it. I'll move that one too. Don't need them anymore. Down and up. Make sure you're staying on your line. Your stitches are snug, but not so tight that they start bunching up the fabric. Down and up. Down and up. Got stitches on the back. Down. And we're right at the edge at the fold. So I'm going to come out the back and then come around. And then bring it in through the fold, inside the fold. Okay, so we're going to open it up again like, oop. I need a little boo-boo there. Thing with felt is that it's not woven, so it's easy to kind of tear pieces away if you need to. Okay, so I'm going to make the little tiny stitch on the bottom of the fold of the inside edge, little tiny stitch, and then we're gonna almost pull it through, go through the loop, pull it tight, go under that thread there, come up again, almost through, leave a loop, go through the loop, pull it tight, and then you're going to stitch under all that knot, pull it out, just pull it tight, and clip it off close to the knot. Okay, it's all tucked in there, and there's your tissue holder. And I'll show you. You get a packet of tissues like this, a little packet of Kleenex. And just tuck it in there, both sides. And you got a nice, cute little place to hide your tissues with your little design. And if you don't have packets of tissues like this, you can take tissues out of the box, flatten them out, and fold them up so that they fit in here. You might want to fold up one at a time so that they're easier to pull out. Or you could fold up napkins and keep them in here if that's what you have, tissues or paper towels even. Just something good to keep handy for if you need to blow your nose or clean up a little mess or something. You have that handy. And this would be a nice little gift to give a grandparent or mom or an aunt or a big sister or brother, anybody who would be carrying a backpack or a purse, that this would be a good handy thing to have as a packet of tissues with you. So I hope you had fun. I hope you like what you made, and I would love if you would want to email me a photo of your finished product at rhoover, all lowercase, all one, all together, rhoover at mclinc, mclinc.org. I hope you had fun. Bye.